Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the Leading Edge Cricket Podcast. Today, Rich and Rob, we're going to break down the West Indies versus India one-day internationals going on starting this weekend. Rich, it's the cricket train. We talk about it. The international cricket calendar stops for no one at all, and
Yep.
West Indies have hopped straight on a plane after beating England and are on the way.
Absolutely, mate. Nothing stops for cricket. This should be fun. This one, there's a lot of good fun cricket, isn't it? We've been talking about under-19 World Cup. We had England playing some T20s in West Indies, and now West Indies over to the big guns in India. 3 games coming up, isn't it? 3 ODIs in Ahmedabad, starting on Sunday, and then there's a few cheeky 2020s afterwards.
Yeah,
Kolkata's getting a bite.
Yeah, it gets a big nod from me. So this is, to me, a huge step for the West Indies, mate. They're playing Indian conditions. Playing India is hard. Playing India in India is, it's like boss level. It's like the last level of Mario Brothers as a kid. It's really difficult to do. But they're coming in possibly brimming with a little bit of confidence here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, format-wise, we're switching over. Still white ball, still pajamas, isn't it? But they had a really, really good, strong performance against England, which we spoke about in a few pods, didn't we? Over that 5 games, he won 3-2. So they'll take the confidence and the experience from that recent form and that recent performances, and they'll take it to India. They'll be flying high. Obviously, we do have to talk at some point, whether you want to talk about that now or in a minute, about the last time West Indies did play some ODIs. It didn't quite go according to plan, did it? They won the first one against Ireland by 24 runs, but then they lost by 5 wickets, and then they lost by another 2 wickets. So they lost 2-1 to Ireland in their last time out in a ODI competition. Can't speak anymore, mate. ODI tour, wasn't it? Or series. That's the word I'm looking for. So, yes, I think they'll have pretty much put to the back of their mind that Ireland experience. And I think they'll be taking what they did against England and feeling good about themselves as they arrive in the lovely Ahmedabad.
Oh, good on them. Good to feel good about yourself. You said, you've got these 3 one-days in Ahmedabad. Being played behind closed doors.
Yes.
Is that a good thing for the West Indies? Because if it's a full, impactful Indian crowd, that can be quite intimidating.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it probably could be. I mean, they love the cricket in general, but they also absolutely love the white ball cricket. I think depending on what the West Indies squad was, if it was a squad full of experience of IPL and those stadiums, then maybe it cancels itself out a bit more. But it's not quite the old boys of West Indian cricket anymore, is it? So I don't think it'll do West Indies any harm whatsoever playing behind closed doors in the big old stadium. So, yeah, I think they're going to fancy the chances. It's a really tough ask for them. And, no predictions being made at this point, but I think they'll fancy their chances of going over there. Nothing to lose. I think that's the important part. I mean, when you've got nothing to lose as a sports person in a competition like this, pressure's all going to be on India. West Indies will be going out there thinking absolutely 100% we can come home with a win.
Yeah, no, you're right. Especially in Indian cricket, there's so much pressure on them anyway. But you're playing against a West Indian team who, like you said, have just lost to Ireland, are ranked number 9th in the world, just above Afghanistan and Ireland. They're not. They're just not the team that they used to be. And these guys head-to-head, India have won 64 times against the West Indies. West Indies have won 63, a couple of ties, few no results. And in India, it's 29-28 to India as well. And you go, wow, they're really close.
But
the fact is, Rich, that West Indies haven't won in India a series since 2002. And that goes to show the disparity between the old 70s and 80s teams that were absolutely world-class to where they are now.
Absolutely. Yeah, you look at those stats and it's just astounding, isn't it? The great record that West Indies cricket have in India and against India. But yeah, when you actually start looking at the performances in more recent years, it used to be a hell of a lot different, that head-to-head record. It's got very, very tight with India just pipping ahead there, aren't they now? So it's going to be a real tough one. But let's have a look at it. So should we rattle into the squads, mate? Just tell everyone who's playing for who.
Let's do it.
Do it. Okay, so Captain Rohit Sharma, we'll speak about him very, very shortly. He's joined by KL Rahul. Mayank Agarwal has come up as a replacement. Again, we'll talk about the reasons behind that in a moment as well. Ravi Bishnoi, Yuzvendra Chahal, Deepak Chahar, Shikhar Dhawan, Ruturaj Gaikwad. Sorry, my pronunciation is beautiful today. I apologise. Deepak Huda, Shirish Dia, Avesh Khan, Virat Kohli, that up-and-coming young under-19 we spoke about the other year. Prasid Krishna, Rishabh Pant, Mohammad Siraj, Washington Sundar, Shardul Thakur, Kuldeep Yadav, and Surya Kumar Yadav for India. So let's have a little dig around that the Indian squad first, Rob.
Yep.
Taking it back to the new captain, Rohit Sharma. Just talk to me about the big man.
World class, mate. Best. It's hard to say he's the best white ball opener in world cricket, but he's. I was about to use a Brian Clough, but he's in the top one.
I knew you were going with that.
He's right up there. There's not many that come anywhere near to him. I did some interesting stats. It's not white ball related, but I was looking at openers in Test cricket and looking at their scores below 10, scores above 50, strike rate, average, all these different things. And he was actually the best batsman opener over the last 3 years in Test cricket and was right up there since the year 2000. So multi-format cricketer. And just huge for this Indian team to have him, because remember these guys have just lost 3-0 in South Africa. So to have him at the helm, and I think it's really important for Sharma to have time before the 2023 One-Day International World Cup. We'd just go back to back on World Cups all the time around here. It's important for him to get miles under the belt as captain. Make this your team.
Yeah. Definitely. And it's not necessarily going to be easy making it your team when Virat Kohli obviously is in the squad. Obviously standing down as captain more recently, wasn't it? So you need Virat Kohli in any squad, and until he decides to hang his boots up or hang his pads up, whatever, you want him in every squad, and I'm sure Rohit Sharma will be appreciative of him being in there. It's probably just worth before we talk about any other players, just talking about we've had a bit of a COVID outbreak, haven't we? So Shikhar Dhawan, Sherasiya, Ritujaj, Gaikwad, and the standby player Navdeep Sani have all tested positive. So that's why Mayank Agarwal was called up as a bit of cover. So obviously we're hoping that those players will clear. We don't want it to get any worse. There is some backroom staff, some coaches, and other people around the squad who have also tested positive. They've all been moved to a different floor of the hotel, so hopefully that will do the trick and there won't be any more cases and we'll be a fit and firing Indian team. Who else is catching your eye in that squad? I know Ravi Bishnoi might be a name that people aren't as familiar with.
Yeah, good young player, 21 years old, can spin it both ways, great wrong 49 wickets at 21 in T20 internationals. I know this isn't T20 internationals, but there's so much T20 cricket played, especially domestically these days. They rack up the performances pretty quick. 24 wickets at 23 in the IPL at an average of 25 with an economy rate. And this is you always look at a spinner. I always look at a spinner in white ball cricket and go, what is the economy rate? And he goes at 6.96, less than 8. Anything less than 8 is exceptional for Kings Punjab. And you know what? It wouldn't surprise me if they give him a go. They give him a game, especially if they're 2-0 up. Let's see what you've got.
Why not? Absolutely, why not? KL Rahul, he's going to be missing the first ODI, but he's going to be very well for the rest of the series. What's the reasoning behind that?
I don't actually know the reason behind that. No. I don't actually know the rationale. I
Fill us in, guys. Let us know.
Yeah, I think it was injury, but I can't be 100% certain.
Yeah, I skipped me that by that one has. So who else do you want to have a look at then? Obviously, I know you want to talk about the middle overs. Against South Africa, they struggled a little bit, but also Kuldeep Yadav is back again after 6 months without cricket. Yeah,
Kuldeep Yadav's a really interesting bowler because I don't know if you remember, we were doing the podcast and they were touring England. This might have been 2018. Joe Root was still in white ball cricket at the time, and no one could pick him. He was absolutely superb, picking up heaps of wickets. Anyway, he's kind of gone through that stage of taking a load of wickets, and now he's back in the team. He's played no white ball cricket for 6 years, and they're trying to fill a hole. They had Ashwin, Chahal, and Yadant Yadav in South Africa, and they took 3 wickets in 59 overs, particularly poor during those middle overs. And it feels like they're trying to work out how they control the game in the middle. And incredibly, Ashwin couldn't control the game, and I find that hard to believe considering he's so good at playing cricket and bowling a ball. But they're trying to work out how to do it, and you wonder whether they're going to go back and you'll see Chahal and they'll see Kuldeep Yadav coming in, got the ability to spin the ball both ways. They both can, they can bowl leg spin, they can bowl Chinaman, they can do a bit of a mixture. So is that going to give them control? Harder for the batsman to pick, harder for the batsman to potentially get a hold of and really get stuck into the bowlers. I think they're just trying to work out how they solidify what their 50 overs is going to look come when it gets to the end of the routine before you get to the next World Cup. They're trying to work out who's the best guys. Who do they need?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a big old squad, isn't it, that they've got for this one that they've named. There are plenty of players in there. It'd be interesting to see what other people's takes are of who's those players that haven't quite established themselves. Who's the players that are going to take that step up? It's like you said, we're into that. We've had a World Cup. I know it's T20, but we're moving forwards again to the next competitions, aren't we? So I'd be really intrigued to see what people's thoughts are on some of these players that are, maybe haven't, like I say, haven't quite established themselves yet. Who's going to be the next stars? There's some of those more mature. I'm being very polite here by calling them mature Indian cricketers, but I wonder who will be the ones that will take this team forward. I don't know if there's any players that you can immediately jump on, Rob, but I'll be intrigued to see what other people have got to say on that as well.
I think Gaikwad's definitely one to watch. He was insane in the IPL this year and just keeps growing and growing. So I think they're going to, again, give him some time. Let's get him in for a game and start building that next World Cup team. Because it's a really interesting situation for India at the moment. They're white ball hot, but at the same time, their white ball fail for me. And that's pretty harsh. But the fact is, they lost in the semi-final of the World Cup to New Zealand back in 2019. Couldn't chase down 240 against a really good bowling attack. The bowling attack kept New Zealand in that competition the whole time. And likewise, they had an incredibly poor T20 international competition in what should have been favourable conditions. Teams like the Black Caps got to the final when they had really no right to do, given the amount of teams they were playing against that were better in subcontinent conditions. So it is a really interesting time. I think the other, it's not a story, but it just keeps lingering in the background, is Virat Kohli. Can he actually score another international century? It's been 2 years now, mate. He scored 70-odd centuries cross-format.
Yeah,
no captaincy roles, and there's been friction between him and the BCCI and all that sort of
Pressure's
stuff.
off.
Can he go score a ton? Because he batted well in South Africa, but didn't quite get there.
Of course he can. But I mean, as much as it would be great to see Virat Kohli getting some hundreds, this batting lineup, especially some of the bigger batters, they haven't quite scored enough runs, have they? Compared to what they have been doing over the years. So that's kind of one of the reasons I'm asking who's the next people coming through. But maybe it's more important for India to actually see these other players go and establish themselves, go and get some big runs, or some of the younger players that have been in and around the setup for a while now, but haven't quite pushed themselves into superstardom. But Virat Kohli, you never write Virat Kohli off. We know that. He'll get another 100.
He will, mate. He will. It is interesting for India. They really, to me, and I know they might go, we're only playing the West Indies, the ranked ninth in the world and all this. I feel they need a statement wing pretty early doors in this cycle. It's white ball cricket, so it still kind of fits into it's a T20 World Cup year, but also the fact there's the World Cup next year. I feel some players need a statement. I'd love to see Washington Sundar, who hopefully is going to be involved in this series and get some overs. Is he the guy? Is he the spinner that they're looking for? Because he can bat down the order and go big.
Yeah.
Can they get the control in the middle overs? They've got the worst economy rate since the start of last year in one-day international cricket. They go over sixes in the middle over. Can they get a little bit of control? Can Rishabh Pant, fulfill the potential in the white ball arena? We've seen him do good in red ball. Can he go do it in one-day international cricket? Is he ready? It feels like he's ready. Sherry Iyer, he scores runs for days in the IPL. He's done well in T20s. Can he go do it in one-day international? Because one-day internationals it's just a different beast to T20 cricket. When it comes to batting, you've got to be able to build an innings.
Yeah, definitely. It'd be interesting to see how this India team does react. Obviously, been a bit more T20 cricket over the last 6 months or so than 50 over stuff. But let's see how they do. And I think how they do go. And I think it's really important, like what you said. I think they will want to put a marker down to get going again. Like you said, that word you use, a statement, is needed. And I'm sure everybody, Indian cricket fans, will be absolutely in agreement with that one. And I'm sure they'll be expecting an India win as well. Let's get over to West Indies then. So West Indies led by Karan Pollard. He's joined by Fabian Allen, Nkrumah Bonner, Darren Bravo, Shamar Brooks, Jason Holder, Shai Hope, Akil Hussain, Alzari Joseph, Brandon King, Nicholas Paran, Kemar Roach, Romario Shepherd, Odean Smith with the big guns, and Hayden Walsh Jr. What do you reckon? Desmond Haynes, head coach now?
Yep.
Obviously, we spoke about them being on the back of the Ireland result. Kemar Roach, I think let's start with him, shall we?
Yeah, two and a
It's been
half
a
years
while.
at the fold, mate. And I think what's hard to work out is why he is one of the best bowlers in red ball cricket in the world. He's exceptional. He will be exceptional when England tour in the Test match arena. He's back in the fold. Now, 2.5 years. He's not played any List A cricket in 2.5 years, which seems a little strange. But he's a wicket taker. He bowls people out. He nicks people off. Doesn't matter what format you play in, early wickets is absolutely imperative and completely stagnates an approach. Like England go massive in T20 international cricket at the start. If you get 3 wickets early, England are going to really struggle and they'll have to rein it in. So that's their thoughts around this. Bring in the big gun, the best red ball bowler that they've got. He's quick, he nips it around, he swings it, and can he take wickets early doors?
Yeah, it's so nice to see him back in, isn't it? We've spoken about this before. West Indies and Sri Lanka, I think, are always similar. They're looking for those senior players or the next ones to step up to be the senior players. And having somebody like Kemar Roach back is so important. There's one player that's missing in this squad. I know it's more T20 than it was against England T20, but there's no Rovman Powell.
Yeah,
the way he played, I know he's had opportunities before. It's not like that was his first ever international innings where he got 100 against England. But a player like that, surely you've got a space for him in the setup.
You wonder whether... Well, the teams were named after. That's the funny thing. I think the teams were named after that England series. I could be slightly wrong. That might have just been the T20 team, which he is part of. But surely you'd be thinking, oh, how could I get this guy in at like 6 or 7 and just, play the similar role where you bat the time, you build the score, and then you go big at the end for the last 10 overs. And having someone like him come in could be game-changing.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing we did see in the T20s recently, and that's what we're going off. I know it's different format. We keep saying that, but I think that's what we've got to go off because that's where the confidence is going to come from. And Jason Holder and Kieran Pollard in particular, I thought were exceptional. Pollard as a captain, but also performing with the bat and the ball in key moments. And Jason Holder was just sensational, just so steady. But I don't want to say unplayable. That's too much of a superlative. But he just did exactly what he needed to do, and he was by far and away the most successful bowler against England in those 5 T20s. So that's a big part of that 11, isn't it, that they can rely on?
It is. Holder's. If you've got Holder with that new ball, you've got the ability to take some wickets. And it's not very often that he goes around the park, but he has played a lot of one-day international cricket over the last few years. Not over the last few years, but in general, 141 wickets, mate, an average of 37. Economy rate of 5.56. Economy rate's not bad, but that bowling average, he's a better bowler than what he was the last time he was, really trying to take steam in white ball cricket. So hopefully he goes good. And Kieran Pollard is, one, the natural leader of this unit, but 2, a really good leader. There's something about him, a calmness to his approach that I really, really like. He's got huge levels of manner and respect from everyone around him. He's done it around the world. Cross format, he's done it. I don't think there's a better leader probably on the pitch between the two teams. And that could be controversial, but I think
he's proved it
his
recently.
Approach for this West Indies team, I think he's the perfect person for it.
Yeah, he's got a real level of self-assuredness, hasn't he? He's competitive. He's going to get you into a fight if that's what the game needs. But we saw in the T20s that, he's got an intelligent approach to the game. He knows when to use his bowlers, and he's got some good players with him as well. I mean, obviously West Indies need to score runs if they're going to have any success in India whatsoever. Just simple as that. You're always going to have to score some runs, but spinners are always key. Akil Hassan, is he the key for this West Indies team if they're going to get a result?
He is, mate. He is. He was absolutely outstanding against England in the last series. 21-day wickets at an average of 23. Economy rate of 4.28 is absolutely insane. It's almost cheat code level of 4.28 economy rate. If he can tie up ends like that and pick up 2 or 3 wickets, West Indies are going to be absolutely bossing the middle overs of this game. He seems like a really high-class performer for this team, but he is going to have to be supported at the other end. And, that may well be Hayden Walsh Jr. that's going to be the guy that's going to be a spin twin. 19 wickets at 23 with a 4.94 economy rate. Now, these numbers don't tell you who those games are against, and they're not in India at a guess, and they're not playing against India. So, again, it's a real big test for these guys, but you need to test yourself. If you've got a Cricket World Cup coming up round the corner, you need to know exactly what you've got, and they are the best two spinners that's available for them to play. And I'm really excited to see how they go bowling at a Virat Kohli, a Rishabh Pant. These guys that's going to really attack them early doors.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we're talking about today really is more that ODI side of things, isn't it? As we said, there are 3 T20s coming on the back of this. Similar squads, I think it's fair to say, isn't it? Little tweaks here and there, but very, very similar squads for both sides. And we said at the start of this, though, it never ends, does it? As soon as India are finished with this series, they're over. They've got Sri Lanka coming over, 2 Test matches and 3 T20s. When West Indies get finished with these 6 white ball games, they've got England coming to town again, haven't they? They're going back for 3 Test matches. So where I'm sure plenty of these players for both teams will be playing in both those competitions. So the competition never seems to end. There's one thing after another. And then before we know it, we'll be talking about county cricket, IPL, all the rest of it, won't we?
It is an absolute conveyor belt. In fact, while this series is going on, we're going to have the IPL mega auction as well. So there's just white ball crickets coming out your ears, mate. Last thing to touch on is getting into the predictions of what we expect from these games, making an assumption that all 3 games go ahead and they are COVID-free. So it's the best versus the best going on.
Yeah, I'm just realising it wasn't intentional, Robbie. I've just realised I've got my nice burgundy jumper on tonight. That wasn't planned for West Indies. So don't read anything into this. So, predictions. Sorry, I think this is probably a step too far for this West Indian team, but I think it's 1-1 going into the 3rd game, and I think India win 2-1. T20s, it's absolutely anybody's. I'm not going to make a decision over that one. I think it's going to be a much tighter affair than we realised. I think the 2 India wins will be quite convincing in the ODIs, but West Indies will snaffle a win in that 2nd game, maybe.
I'm going to go, it's going to be 3-0 India, but it's not a clear 3-0 in the one-day internationals here. It's going to be tight. West Indies are going to have moments, but they're not quite ready to take those moments against India in India. I think it's a building job, and they'll come away from the series with a lot of confidence, mate.
Yeah, hope so. We keep saying it, and I certainly keep saying it, but the world needs a good and fun West Indies cricket team.
It definitely does, mate. So that's the series, guys. If you've watched on YouTube, let us know below in the comments what you think this score is going to be and what we should be looking at. Who are the stars of this Indian team? The next guys that might get a game or who might come and hit the ground running. Let us know about those guys. We are available on Twitter at Leading Edge Pod, and we are available on all podcast platforms. So, like I said earlier, rate, review, subscribe wherever you are. 5-star ratings will be read out on the podcast. Thank you so much for listening, guys. We're excited for some more white ball cricket on the white ball train that never ends. Till next time.